welcome to another episode of The Heart of the Matter. My name is Omilola Oshikoka, and our topic for today is, do you see the opportunities? We have with us Mrs. Olusola Sowemimo of Okpe Farms and also Mr. Seun Abolaji of Wilson's Juice. Hello, Mrs. Sowemimo. I'm Mr. Abolaji.
Nice to be back.
Thank you very much for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure to have you. Okay, so let's start with Mrs. Sowemimo. Can you tell us about Okpe Farms what you do?
Okpe Farms has a niche. When I started, I actually didn't think it was a niche. I wanted to do organic farming, away from all the chemicals, pesticides, and the artificial synthetic fertilizers. So we started just about 2 years ago. I spent practically the first year learning what to do organically because I couldn't find any other farmer who was into organic farming. So I had to do courses online, then visited so many farms just to learn from people. Then realized that a lot of the university lecturers actually are into organic farming, even though it's not a course that they take in the universities. And that was how we started. We started planting cucumber, peppers, tomatoes, and each one was a hurdle for us because we had pests. And how do we get the produce and then get the pests out? I also had to go back to the drawing board to learn how to make organic pesticides. You'll be surprised that some of the plants that we have are actually natural pesticides, just knowing the right mix and all of that. And today we've overcome quite a lot of those challenges, and we now have quite a lot more produce and successfully planting them and trying to overcome, of course, the challenges that being in that field brings with it, like water, power, poor roads, and all of that. We've gone quite some way. We now have a manager who is an agronomist. He has a first degree and a master's degree. So that kind of helps me because I didn't read agriculture. I can only go back on what I've learned in the past and with my mom. And with the workers, we're doing very well.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, so tell you about Wilson's Juice Company. Okay, so my name is Seun Abolaji, co-founder of Wilson's Juice Company. We make Wilson's lemonade. It's a fresh squeezed juice product made from lemons we get here from Nigeria. So it's made with real fruit, no artificial coloring, flavoring, or sweetener. And I don't know, we're first in the category for that type of drink here in Nigeria, at least from what we're hearing. That we're the first ones to make real fresh squeezed juice in a plastic bottle. And we didn't know that for a long time, that we were the first ones to do that here. We've been growing, we don't have a farm per se, but we do have a factory in Ota, Ogun State, and that's where we produce all our lemonade. But we do get all the produce from farmers from all around Nigeria, actually, from north to south, and sometimes we even go across the border to get some lemons.
Okay. So did you find agriculture or did it find you?
You know what's interesting? Our first business, when we first moved back to Nigeria, we were doing Ekuro. We were doing palm kernel oil. Okay. Long story short, it was a struggle, I'll tell you the truth. It wasn't that we knew what we were doing. Even the way it started was, it was like a family business with my mother and her stepbrother. And we came back and we were like, you know what, this isn't going the way they wanted it to go. So my brother at that point said, you know what, this is what my life is. Let me move back to Nigeria for this. So he moved back. I was supporting him. I'd be traveling back and forth 3 months, 4 months back and forth. And we quickly ran out of money doing that business. And the whole reason is just because we didn't understand the nature of business. I think business anywhere, but especially here in Nigeria. You know, we were selling on credit, buying everything on cash. So before long, if not, your creditors aren't paying you, you don't have any more cash to buy your products. So we ran out of money doing that. And the whole lemonade thing was just really accident. I don't even want to say an accident. It was godsend. and we.
So how, I think you were making smoothies.
Yeah, so we started, you know, it was interesting, went to the market, bought a plastic juicer and a bag of oranges. So we were making orange juice first in a small kiosk in Covenant. And then we started doing smoothies because we're like, no one's doing natural, fresh squeeze. No one's doing anything. Most of the stuff we have here is not. There's a lot of stuff that you probably don't want to drink all the time. So we said, you know what, let's just start doing that. And we saw lemons one time, and we just like, I grew up drinking lemonade. Let's just add lemonade to what we're doing. So we added lemonade, and before long, no more smoothies, no more orange juice. It was just lemonade, selling cups and cups. And we were literally doing it. By the time we started putting it in bottles, we had 11 staff. They'll squeeze 2 lemons, sugar, water, and sell it. I even have pictures on my phone I could show you after. But it was interesting. And then one day I was just looking at it, and I was seeing all the kids stuffing money in their face. And I was just telling my brother, I pulled him aside. I was like, Shay, why don't we just put this thing in a bottle? And we went and picked up old bottles and started it that way. Literally, it was like, there was no business plan. You know, like there was no, it's just interesting. Like it was really just starting it. You'll perfect everything, but just starting it because you think you know everything. But like you thought you know everything, then you got in there and the whole year was learning.
I know.
You had to learn for a year.
The whole year.
So it's the same thing. We just started it, you know, and then we're like, okay, it can only last 4 days. What do we need to do? Then you start learning more. And then before long, you're like, we need to brand this. We need to make it different. So, you know, we went with the square bottle. I actually have a bottle. I don't know if you can see. It's the lemonade. So we went with the square bottle and said, you know what? Let's do something totally different that no one else here is doing. Everyone wants the, you know, curvy bottle. Even some people look at it and be like, why you choose this bottle? But when you see it, you know it's this. So we just started there, and we started, you know, designing our own labels. You just start doing everything on your own. We're still doing a lot of things on our own now, but we have our factory manager who was a QC specialist and then went to school for microbiology. So, you know, as you're growing the business, the right people come into the business to support it and push it up. Even the sales, I'm running the sales now. What was I? I was a pharmacist before.
So we can say it sort of found you.
Yeah, you can definitely say that.
So Mr. Sowemimo, 30 years in the corporate world, and I would say you did it afraid and into farming. And I think you were in oil.
Yes,
in an oil company, oil and gas.
Oil and gas. So
can you tell us how that happened and what the experience was like? And it's so funny how now we're shifting from oil and gas to agriculture in the country.
Amazing. When I joined the company, I had made up my mind that the most I would do there would be 10 years because I wanted to be on my own before a certain age. I thought I would still have the energy. I'm a very creative person. I divert my energy into quite a lot of things. And the kind of conversation I used to have with people when I was in oil and gas about agric is that you've got to be there. I mean, everybody tells me, you would only have partners if you leave somebody else there. And I felt whatever I do, I wanted to have the hands-on feel and knowledge of it.
So you had a passion for
it? Oh, definitely. I had a passion for it. My grandfather was a farmer. And I remember most times when we travel home to see him, my parents will come back with loads of fresh produce. Then my mom apparently had a home garden. The front of the house were always beautiful flowers. The back was always food. So for years, I mean, I would only eat fresh vegetables, ewedu, okra. At a point, she even got as far as to put a few chickens there. And my dad was like, for heaven's sake, you know, that kind of thing. So it had always been a passion for me. More because of the freshness. And she planted those things without any chemical. So it got to a point where I buy something from the market and I can actually perceive the chemical in it. Or maybe I eat it and I break out. I went to a state maybe about 4 weeks ago, and we bought fruits. I mean, the excitement of buying fruit is, you're going to eat something natural.
Healthy.
Do you know, we cut the pawpaw, I had some of it, the next thing I broke out in rashes all over my mouth.
Wow.
I knew that it was a chemical that had been used to plant that pawpaw. And that was how I just got rid of the rest of it. Wow. It's so bad that some of the chemicals that have been banned all over the world are actually here, and they're being used day in, day out. You probably remember some time ago, last year, our beans failed because there was too much chemical in it. Now we've been banned from actually exporting beans until I think they will lift the ban sometime this year. But the group is now advocating that changes have been made and all of that. So when I left the company, I knew that for me, it was going to be organic or nothing. I didn't even know anybody who did it. But I just had this passion, and I felt along the line I will attract the right people. And it did happen, just like he said. Met the professors, you know, I just started meeting people. And then they said the organic, apparently Nigeria has NOAN, which is a non-governmental agency for organic. I didn't even know that existed. Then I heard that they were going to have a conference last year, October. I was so excited. And attending that conference was a big milestone because we met people from other African countries. It's amazing how far they've gone. Somebody told us about, I think it's Zimbabwe. It costs more to buy the eggs from the indigenous poultry. The lady did an analogy that if a crate costs, let's say $10 of their money, the normal one, the conventional eggs, cost about $4. But the average person will rather spend the money to buy 6 of the organic ones than buy a whole crate of the other one. And they kept wondering, what's wrong with Nigeria? You are big, you have people, you have land, you have everything. What's stopping you? But what we suspect is that because organic started from the universities, it's slowly, gradually creeping in. But in other African countries, it started from the farmers. So they have more buy-in, you know. And for me, it just, nothing else would work. But I had a big challenge. To be able to move my staff to where I am, I needed them to see my vision. That was a big deal. I mean, most of my workers are from farms that use chemical. So when we started having our problems, the first thing they tell me is, Ma, this thing is more expensive. Let's just put it. I said, no, it's not about the money. It's about the health of the people who will eat my produce. I do not want to add to their problems. I had 3 loved ones who I saw through their cancer stages. And some of the things the doctors first tell them is go organic. Where do they find it? You know, most people would ask you, there's no organic in Nigeria. So we need more people on our side to actually do organic because people say, oh, it's expensive. But if everybody is doing it, like Cuba, everybody had to move to organic because for years they were supplying, they were getting food from Russia. And then Russia collapsed, you know, the Soviet Union collapsed. And the first thing they did was that everybody should plant something at home. And then the excess would now go to the market, you know. So that was how I went into it. No business plan, nothing. I was too afraid. I didn't want anybody to give me a business plan that is looking like I need 20 million or 30 million. I just said, let me start with what I have. And that was how I started.
Awesome. We need to take a quick break. So after the break, we'll continue our discussions.
Okay.
Viewers, we'll be right back after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Heart of the Matter. We're still talking about the opportunities in agriculture, and we still have with us Mr. Seun Abolaji and Mrs. Olusola Sowemimo. Okay, can we talk about the opportunities? You know, now in our country or in Africa, the world, there's an economic crisis and oil prices are, you know, oil prices have fallen. And now, especially with a country like Nigeria, where we've really focused on oil and gas, we're now looking at different ways to diversify the economy. And there's a lot of talk about agriculture now. And I also think, personally, that that's really the only way because our unemployment rate has been really high in the past, almost at 80%. And now all these youths are unemployed, but companies are also sacking, even those that are employed, they're sacking staff, you know. There was a company I heard of one particular, they sacked 800 people in one day. So what are the opportunities? What can people begin to do? Everyone's saying agriculture. What is it about agriculture?
From my point of view, the value chain is a very long one. Okay. From the farmers to the consumers, there's so many opportunities in between. It was only when I started farming that I realized that even those who sell the materials we use, it's a big thing if you go to the market. The wheelbarrows, the spades, it's amazing. You get into the market and you say, oh, I'm looking for a sprinkler. And say, oh, that is so and so down there. You know, so there are those group of people who already exist. They could do more if they were more organized. I mean, you're looking for hose. We hardly have to bring anything in. Almost everything you need is already here. So we'll start with those who do the tools, the inputs, so to say, the materials that we use. And then, of course, engineering. You now have people who are fabricating for us. We process our own gari. Okay. Well, process our own cassava into gari because it's more viable for us. And recently, my staff just said, we thought we could empower the villagers for them to do it for us, but then it takes a lot of supervision and all of that for them to get it right. And now we're thinking of doing it ourselves and getting the machine. People would even actually ask you, oh, how many bags do you want to dry at a time and all. So people are fabricating. There's hardly anything you want to use for food that you cannot get an engineer. If you go to a place, some places in Lagos, it's their stock in trade to fabricate for you, and they try it out and you buy it. So the engineering bit is there. We have the researchers. Unfortunately, a lady told me of, there's a produce, it's called cuckoo merina. Cuckoo merina we plant, and she said when she discovered it, she just went off to one of the lecturers in the universities. Oh, I found something, I've discovered something. And the guy looked and said, cuckoo merina? Oh, I did a report on that in 1974. But who knew? Because that information is just right in one of the folders in his office. So we do have a lot out there that the researchers too can gain from. And then, of course, there's now agricultural journalism. A lot of people are beginning to write about agriculture, moving the information to the people, you know. There's a gentleman who said, oh, he just wants to start a column in Punch. And the idea behind it is to talk to people who are in agric, let them talk about their successes, their failures, so that they can ginger other people into that. And then we have the bulk people who would buy bulk and actually export. Some people have that as their own profession. They do not farm, but if you tell them, oh, I can get you a container load of ugu, organic, no chemical, nothing. The guy says he's ready to move it. He said, you just call me. So I don't even have to go get the export license or anything. He would come, package it, weigh it, maybe take it for the necessary tests and send it abroad and pay me my own money. And then, of course, we have the processing, where he comes in. Processing, packaging, transport. Transport is another one. I think it was one of the dailies talked about a teacher who actually left his teaching job to start moving agric produce from one place to the other. And this man says he earns 150,000 naira every month. He said his teaching job could never do that for him. So there's so many areas, you know, that people can key into. Like a lady said, she said, not all of us would wear boots and pot around on a farmland, you know. So people can actually look into these other areas. Look at seedlings. There's a country, I think it's Thailand. There are people who, they do not farm to a point where they harvest. They just farm seedlings. So I need to do 2,000 tomatoes. I just go there and buy the seedlings. The seedling means they've already planted the seed and it has shot. So I don't have to count my losses in terms of the seeds that I put down. I can just go there and buy the seedlings. Wow. That's another avenue. And then, of course, the mills, the feed mills, you know, some of them, that's all they do. They just produce the food for the chicken or for the goats, and it's amazing. We have a guy who does biofertilizer. He actually came up with it himself, tried it out, and it's incredibly nice. So the opportunities are, I would almost say they're endless.
I even know, like we have strawberries in Jos.
Yeah.
And so it's just about if someone should come up with the storage, you know, how to transport it from Jos to Lagos, within like a cold storage. That's a lot of money that could be made.
You can imagine if people have cold rooms among farmlands. I mean, where I farm, there must be people on over 1,000 acres of land there. So you can imagine if everybody has to have a cold room, the money. But if somebody just set up that cold room for all of us, I'm going to put my things here for a week, I pay, you know, and then I pick it up later. You know, then that would reduce, and it would give other people the opportunity in agriculture.
What do you say about the opportunities in processing?
It's interesting because people would tell you, you know, if you go up north, all this fruit is wasting and all this. Sad. That's what you hear, and you know. But I've heard that sometimes you go there and you can't even find where these fruit are that people are saying are wasting. So, but with those, that's kind of what we saw is like, you know, we have these different types of fruit. If we can find a way to process it, to preserve it. I don't know if you know as well, we have a dehydration aspect to our business. So in our factory, we have dehydrators on one side, and then we have our juice factory as well. So that's the amazing thing is, when the fruit is in abundance and it's rotting or whatever, you can dehydrate it and you'll be eating it a year later.
Wow.
And it's still good. So there's a lot of different opportunities. You just have to find it. And even with our like for instance, our pink lemonade is hibiscus, zobo, and lemon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Zobo and lemon, yeah. So, I mean, that's why it has that natural color to it. So, that's the opportunity within our environment that, you know what, we don't have strawberries accessible to us here, or raspberries. That's what pink lemonade usually is, raspberry lemonade, but we have zobo. We have plenty of zobo, so it's like, how do we make this our own within our environment? And there's different things like that that you can say, you know, I've seen it done like this before, and with what we have here, how can we do it to process it like that? So that's the thing is for people to be creative, to think outside of the box and say, you know what do I have in my environment? And yeah, I wanted to go up north and see where all this stuff is rotten that people are saying, because we get that story too many times. So imagine if you have a processing facility out there, processing all year round.
But land is, land is a big issue. Where is land? If people want to actually go into farming or want to set up a factory, where can they get land? And is it easy? And how expensive?
You'll be surprised that since the Do It Afraid program, just before the program, the community where I am, one thing I learned I guess, is from upbringing. Wherever I find myself, I try to reach out to people, learn their ways, so blend with them, so to say. And I now find out that from time to time, they come to ask me if I need more land. And I keep saying, can I finish using this one first? But they do tell me. So after the program, the Do It Afraid program, some people had waited to see me, and they said, oh, they're looking for land and all. I said, oh, there's a family that actually mentioned to me that they have land. Let me ask. And since then, that family has sold almost 200 acres through me. Wow. So it's a matter of what people really want, because I always tell people accessibility is very important. You need to set up your farm where you can reach it quickly. So if somebody was based in Lagos, for instance, getting to Abeokuta is quite easy. And do you know that it's been said that about 84 million hectares of the 90-something million hectares that Nigeria has is actually arable.
Wow. So that means it's good too.
It's good. Yes, it's good. And then it's not even every aspect of agriculture that needs fertile land. For instance, the most infertile part of my own farm is where we have built our bamboo houses, because we don't really need the soil there. you know, so we just put the building there. So there is land, and I believe some of the states now lease. Some of the states, you can actually lease, especially for people who just want to try their hands at it first and see what, or you don't want to commit to actually owning the land. There is land. It just depends on where one is looking, you know. Just yesterday, a lady told me that she lives in a barracks, in one barracks in Ibadan, and they actually have loads of land at the back, and they've called most of the women, because it's the men who are away, and they've called most of the women to tell them that if they need land, they would accord them a maximum of 10 plots. So she would like to do something. So it's just a matter of looking. One would find land, I believe.
I know that, okay, so everyone's saying agriculture, there's so many opportunities, but what have been maybe the major challenges you've both, so maybe we'll start with Seun, that you faced in business?
There's quite a few challenges. It's just how you decide to deal with it. You can start with just the regular power, electricity. You're running on diesel most of the time, and the main one is people. But what we've realized is we have to instill a culture. And once you instill a culture, the people that are supposed to be there, they imbibe, they grab onto the culture and say, "This is, I believe where you guys are going. We have a vision. I believe in your vision. I know where you're going." And before long, you just realize you have to give people opportunity, and they'll fall right in line with what you want. But in the very beginning, it was a lot of trying to find the right people. Even now, still trying to find the right people. Just getting people. I don't want to say the wrong thing. It's just to get people to want to allow you to grow, if you know what I mean. Without me saying more than that, there's different people that won't allow you to grow. So those are part of the challenges. You know, the roads and logistics is a big challenge sometimes.
So that's another opportunity.
Yeah. You know, I tell you, sending products to Jaws just costs so much money. But you take the opportunity that, you know what, maybe something bigger will happen in Jaws just from that opportunity. So it costs a lot of money. I recently did that, and it was a lot of money to send stuff out that far and getting people to trust within the logistics as well. So quite a few different issues.
I guess he's probably said all the same challenges.
Well, yes, those same challenges. And with staffing, haven't been an HR consultant. What I do is we have a general meeting where even the workers are part of the meeting. That makes them feel very important. And it's amazing the things I learn from them. Sometimes they're the ones who go, "Madam, let's remove what we planted in that place and put this there." I say, "Okay, really, why do you say that?" And the guy gives you a very valid reason, and it works. For us, the roads are really bad. Power is non-existent. We run on generator too, but the generator to power the water pumps and all of that. And of course, sometimes I know of farmers who will complain about the government regulations too, that some of the regulations look at you like as if you've built a housing estate. Meanwhile, it's farm. The farm is not the same as when you build your homes.
So as we round up now, probably someone is watching who's probably just lost their job, or may lose their job, or has a passion in agriculture but is scared to go into it, or someone that just never even had a job before. What would you, in one sentence, what would you advise this person to do? Start with you and then.
For me, if what he wants to do is agriculture, then he needs to build the passion. Go spend maybe a week with a farmer and then make up your mind what you like about it and which aspect of it you really like. Because there's so many aspects, you know, and you might find your niche in a particular one. And if it's funding, start with your family and friends. Really, that's the best way to go about it. Nobody will borrow. Usually people don't tend to borrow money to somebody who doesn't have experience.
Sure.
I just tell that person to look inside, like take some time to either meditate or kind of look inside and get the answer of what they need, because it's there. I say it all the time, being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. Being a farmer is not for everyone. because I'm sure you probably saw your field is all devastated, and you still go, and it didn't break your heart. It didn't make you think you were doing the wrong thing.
Lost the whole crop
Yeah,
before.
yeah, and you were still going. So it's something that you have to really look deep inside and say, what is it that God has placed inside for me to do? And you know, don't waste your time once you realize what it is. Don't keep doing. Just start it. Start it afraid.
Do it afraid.
Do it afraid.
Yes. Do it afraid.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I wish you success in all your endeavors.
Thank you.
Thank you. Viewers, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to go into farming or agriculture, we actually have a recording of the Do It Afraid Agribusiness Entrepreneurship Workshop, where Mrs. Sowemimo and also Mr. Abolaji were one of the speakers. The details, if you want to get the DVDs, the details are on the screen. We do hope you see that there's so many opportunities. Yes, I mean, we're in difficult times, but this is where there are opportunities for you to create something and create wealth, because people are creating wealth. Thank you for watching. Until next week, stay blessed.